Hey guys, and welcome back to Pokemon TCG HQ. So now I'm going to be bringing you all the recorded games that I was able to film. Very much thanks once again to Athena Games for allowing me to do so. Of their Burning Shadows League Up or Autumn Season League Up, which took place at their Athena Games shop in Norwich. So round one was decided from or by the head judge, I should say, not myself. I'd rather not commentate or see myself on stream in case I do something really silly. But round one sees Simon Smith playing Golisopod GX versus myself playing Volcanion EX deck. So yeah, we'll just go straight into these games, and hopefully I'll have these uploaded pretty soon and pretty quickly. Thanks and enjoy. Okay, so we do have Simon on the left and myself on the right. Quick roll, and I believe Simon does actually win the dice roll, so he will choose to go first. So at this point, both of us don't actually know what we're playing against, of course. Um, and unfortunately, after knowing how this sort of matchup went, it was a case that I did have a type advantage in this matchup. So at this point, Simon still doesn't really know. Well, so I don't really know what Simon's playing. He's just sort of played Tapu Koko down. But as he's going first, I get a chance to sort of scout out, understand what he's going to hopefully be doing, and working some things out. So he does go for the turn 1 Ultra Ball, discarding a Field Blower and an Ace of Roller. So Ace of Roller gives me some indications, but again, it's not too much information at all. So it does look like he will just be going for a Bridget. And if we have a little look, based on sort of the recorded games, we do see he's obviously playing Grass Energy, Rainbow, so yes, he is playing Golisopod. But at this moment, I still have no idea. But he does sort of get quite a lot of tech cards he's playing in this deck as well. So this deck is something that he's sort of built and found quite fun. He's played online. He's had sort of reasonable success with it online as well. So he thought he'd take it to a tournament. He tends to come to tournaments, I believe, with his son in seniors, who's doing really well for this season. So it's good practice for him as well. So he does Bridget for the Remoraid, a Tapu Fini, and a Tapu Lele. So we haven't actually seen any win pods, but this is sort of the natural way this sort of game is generally going to go, because he's not going to want to put down Pokemon that are weak to fire or something that I can knock out very quickly or very easily. He does go for the Drampa, which is sort of a really good choice here. So he has the backup options of a Big Wheel GXing. He's got the options to take one hit KOs on Volcanions, and so on and so forth with Berserk using sort of the choice band. So my turn one, I Ultra Ball away 2 Fire Energies for a Tapu Lele, and grab a Lily, it looks like. So Lily being able to draw you up to 8 cards on your first turn. So I still have Fire Energy and sort of a couple of other cards I can bring my hand down to begin with. So I do attach also the Floatstone to the Turtonator, hoping I could try and hit a Volcanion or an Ultra Ball. And it looks like I sort of miss it, unfortunately. So I just do go for the energy on the Tapu Lele as a sort of answer towards the Drampa. So as I don't actually have too much going on, Simon does just choose to Field Blower, as he had 2 in his hand from his opening hand as well. Does choose to Field Blower my active Floatstone and Fury Belt. And he does begin to go on the offensive. So with Tapu Fini, he does start to hit, although it's quite low damage, it does start to rack up quite quickly. He does hit Turtonator for weakness, it's 40 damage. And I decide to switch into the Tapu Lele, so I have the option to be able to retreat with just the 1 energy attached to it. Do play the Super Rod to put the energies back into the deck, just for now, as it were. Because it looks like I do have an N and a Sycamore. Yeah, so that way, if I Sycamore now, I already have 1 Fire Energy, and if I am able to retreat the Tapu Lele, it just means that I'd have 2 Fire Energy in the discard anyway. So I do hit the Enhanced Hammer. I don't really hit too much else, unfortunately. So I do just, as I just Enhanced Hammered, I'm not doing too much damage with the Tapu Lele itself. This is why I sort of considered attaching the Fire Energy to the bench Turtonator. Simon there top decks the Artillery, which is perfect for his hand here, so he does just decide to Abyssal Hand up to 5. Hits an Energy, so he's able to continue applying pressure, so he's not able to Righteous Edge and knock off any special energy, which is often what you see happen towards Tapu Lele, since they often play DCEs, for example. But he does choose to attach the Grass Energy to the active Drampa, so this is where I do begin to really understand what the deck is. Because although a Rainbow Energy is attached to a Tapu Fini, that could still mean a lot of different things. So it does choose to N and N here, so we're both shuffling up. Give the option for an opponent to cut the decks. And each draws 6 cards. So looks like so we begin to see Simon's tech cards in his actual list here. I believe that's actually a hyper rare Lichen Rock with the ability Bloodthirsty Eyes. I think it's Bloodthirsty Eyes, which allows you to, once you evolve into the Lichen Rock, essentially use a Lysandra effect. So yeah, Simon does hit the choice band and just does have the 1 Grass Energy, so he does choose a Righteous Edge for 50 damage, knowing a Berserk will be a knockout next turn, because he does have that Rainbow on the Tapu Fini as well. So I do hit the Volcanion this time. I do finally get it available in my hand and alterable for a Volcanion, just so I can start powering up multiple attackers. Based on my hand, I have to sort of discard quite a few Fire Energies, but it's not too much of a problem with the deck that I was playing. So I was playing the same list that that Igor Costa had recently won the regionals with. So being able to sort of power heater, doing a lot of damage to begin with, not that too much damage, but doing sort of small amount of damage, but being able to power up multiple attackers at the same go, is really key to this deck. Sort of setting up KOs with the big hitters later on. So my current plan would be sort of to use Power Heater multiple times, use these max elixirs so that I can sort of set up these 2 attackers, as it were. As should Volcanion continue to be sort of alive and not KO'd, I can continue getting those energy back from the discard and really get more than sort of 2 attackers even built up, as it were. So there's the Power Heater for 20 damage. So that does put Drampa in range of even Volcanic Heat from the Volcanion EX as well, because it's only down to 120 HP. So here we go, we do have the DC attachment to the Drampa. So at this point as well, Simon also has the option to sort of take KOs on any Pokemon on my side of the field. If he has a Guzma, he's got that free retreat on the Artillery, or he's got Tapu Koko on the bench, of course. So in his mind, he's going to try and sort of slow me down, try not to, if he doesn't have the Guzma, of course, try and really prevent me from being able to power heater to get more and more attackers and more powered up attackers on the bench. So it does look like we will see a Berserk here for the knockout. And then, so it does look like he's drawn into a couple of different cards and choices that he has there. He has the DC, he has another choice band, so he does just Berserk for 150 damage. I send up the Volcanion EX and choose to attach the energy, of course, so now I am actually able to do the 130 damage. I also N him down to 5, which is not too detrimental for himself, but maybe I just needed a refresh of hand. I couldn't really see what I actually had myself. But I'm just keeping an eye out on a couple of things that on a couple of the things in terms of like shuffling, in terms of playing the cards now. I'm trying to keep a real lookout and seeing what's happening. So I do draw into quite a lot of Pokemon. There you go, and I do just choose to Volcanic Heat for the knockout. So it does only put him down to just that Tapu Fini with actual energy on it. So he has a couple of choices here. You can actually start spreading some damage with Tapu Koko. It's quite an awkward Pokemon to knock out, particularly as I have only one Volcanion EX active. Oh, he does finally bench the Wimpod as well, so confirming everything that I've seen so far. He does have the DC on the Tapu Koko that he has attached, so he has decided to go for that route currently. He has a special charge in hand, yes, so he does play it and to retrieve 2 DCs. So with the sort of importance and reliance on these special energies that his deck plays, special charge becomes quite an important card to be able to retrieve those. Should a lot of sort of these enhanced hammer decks, which has been really popular recently, and just being able to sort of get them back again is really important. So what else is that in hand? Is that a Tapu Lele? I'm not really too sure. He does have Abyssal Hand, so he does draw into his supporter that he needs. Benches the Rockruff. So this is where I'm starting to realize exactly what's going on here. All the different tech cards is really interesting when it does come off. So he does choose the Flying Flip. So he's just putting things in range. Knowing he could potentially use Tapu Lele to start taking KOs as well. So I attach to the Turtonator, just making sure he's powered up and ready. I play the Field Blower to remove the Float Stones that are active, and Guzma up the Tapu Fini. So I do, since the energies are the same, I just move the Pokemon. Just makes it a little bit easier. And I do actually get a Turtonator attack off. The Bright Flame dealing 160 damage since it had 1 damage, 10 damage, or 1 damage counter on it on the Tapu Fini ready from Rainbow Energy. And I do go down to 2 prizes. So this is how generally the Volcanion deck currently works. So I've also got the Oranguru as well, knowing that I can go down to so sort of few prizes remaining, and having the Oranguru there. I'm never really in too much danger of being sort of overrun, as it were, or end to a poor position. Currently with an active Turtonator with just 1 energy, I can actually use his Nitro Tank GX as well to retrieve 5 energies from the discard and attach it to my Pokemon in any way I like. So that this is sort of ideal for myself, as it were, here. And we have seen not a Golisopod GX, but a Golisopod which has the extra armor. So I'm just reading it there just to make sure exactly what it's trying to protect, or what it can protect from in terms of its ability. So I think it takes 30 less damage after applying weakness and resistance. So there you go. We have the Decisive Sycamore, attaches the DC to the Rockruff. There you go. So he draws into another Drampa, Rainbow Energy, Grass Energy, maybe an Ultra Ball and a Rescue Stretcher. So there's a few little things that he can continue playing, but in this current moment in time, it looks like it's most likely just going to Flying Flip, continue applying that pressure in that way. But it's quite a difficult sort of situation that Simon finds himself in, purely because I've been able to take sort of back-to-back prizes, have other attackers set up, and he couldn't really have the opportunity to sort of play an N and sort of mess with the hand, as it were. So I do attach a Floatstone to the Turtonator, and the Fury Belt most likely to the other Turtonator as well. Okay. Trying to protect it from maybe a Tapu Lele attack. I attached a Fire Energy to the Turtonator as well, and decide to Sycamore. Interested to see where I am at, or what I was playing and doing as well. So I do hit another Fighting Fury Belt. I do attach it to the Baby Volcanion. I do just retreat into the Volcanion EX, and actually, yeah, I mean, taking this prize isn't too much of an issue here. I actually also steam up just to get cards out of my hand, because Volcanion can just retreat manually with discarding 3 of his energies. So any Pokemon he puts active here, I'm actually able to just take the knockout on. So Simon does attach the Rainbow Energy to the Rockruff, so now it's actually able to use both Bloodthirsty Eyes, should he choose so, and Lycanroc's GX attack, which I believe is 50 times the number of bench Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. I will just quickly go make sure and find out as well, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, so what other decisions can he make here? He's just checking his discard pile. Just making sure. Yeah, it's a dangerous rogue. GX is 50 times number of bench Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. So it does bring it active. Chooses not to use the ability and uses a GX stack to knock out Lycanroc. So I'm just checking my hand. I have a Volcanion in hand as well. And then just Guzma up the Tapu Lele without too much issues. And actually take the game one. So game one sort of went as I generally would have expected, outside of not hitting the Volcanions, the baby Volcanions, turn 1 or 2. But once I'm able to sort of start setting up, even if I'm able to just power here just once, twice ideally, getting sort of 4 energy in play just through 2 turns. Also have the max elixirs, so there's quite a few different things that you can actually do. So like different ways to power up your bench and attackers as it were. As I said, it's quite a difficult matchup for Simon. So he did go down the route of actually trying not to use his Wimpods and Glispods, which is probably the right thing to do. But when he doesn't do that, he doesn't really have the attackers to do sort of the one hit, using just the one energy, sort of applying that sort of pressure as much. Because, you know, Tapu Lele, yes, you can use DC to start attacking. Drampa requires 2 energy attachments to do Berserk, but it's only really doing the one hit KO attack, sort of damage as it were, should one of his bench Pokemon have any damage counters on it. And if that's not the case, it becomes a lot harder for him to actually take those KOs. He requires one more turn to attach a Rainbow Energy, for example. So as we go into game 2, I believe Simon will obviously be starting going first again. So I mulligan for the second time, giving Simon 1 mulligan card. So it's just deciding what he promotes and what he puts active. I believe he does open with a Wimpod that he's just put down there and a Remoraid on the bench. So I start Oranguru. I do have a Tapu Lele as an option as well. But of course, Tapu Lele's ability, one attack, just to be able to get a supporter is probably more important than necessarily having, than wasting it, I guess. So Simon top decks the Tapu Koko, I believe, so he benches that and Wonder tags on his first turn. Couldn't really see his other cards in his hand. He's got quite a few Pokemon and cards down already, so he could decide to actually just grab another supporter. But it looks like he is going for that project again, just sort of preparing his board as it were. So he does project for both Tapu Fini and Drampa GX. Again, going for sort of the Drampa GX play. Trying maybe to take those one-hit KOs quite quickly, quite early, if at all possible. He does have artillery in his hand, so it's not an issue for him at all. So he does just attach the Grass Energy to Drampa GX, and looks like he's gonna wimp out into the Tapu Koko, which is perfectly fine. So I top deck the Volcanion, which is probably ideal for me. I do have the Enhanced Hammer as well, but unfortunately he has only attached to Grass Energy. I do have Floatstone in hand, so that also helped in the decision making of choice of Wonder Tag against the Oranguru. So it looks like I'm just quickly going through my prizes, you know, looking at those sort of max elixir targets. The deck plays a lot of energy, so it's normally unlikely you'll miss it. But yeah, just making sure I know what to go for. As it were, I believe I have a max elixir and a fire energy in hand. So I'm probably likely to try and hit the max elixir onto the Volcanion. Use Sycamore to discard the fire energies, which is exactly what looks like I'm trying to do. Maybe a quick premature attachment there. I do believe I did ask just to make sure that was a weird little mistake there. Apologies. So I do Sycamore. There's 2 fire energies and the Enhanced Hammer. So next turn, as long as I get another spare attacker, I get to actually... Oh, I hit both Turtonator and Volcanion. There you go. So all's pretty good for me at the moment. I do have another Max Elixir, which generally is fine to play. You know, I've played Xerneas Break this season as well, and a lot of times you have to, you know, remember to play the Max Elixir before your Geomancy, because you're just ruining lessening the chances of you hitting the Max Elixirs if you decide to do that first. But in this deck, it's not too much of a problem, as you're actually just powering them from the discard pile. So as you see, turn 1, I was able to get 4 NG on the board. And actually start just applying that pressure. So this is what this deck does really well. Volcanion is quite an awkward Pokemon to try and knock out as well, but purely because of its HP. It's quite, and although it's not doing too much damage, it's just able to just really ramp up the energy from on my side of the board. So Simon here is probably thinking whether he does actually go for the Golisopod and deal in 120. It won't knock out the Volcanion, but it will put it in range of a Tapu spread, for example, should I not get a Fighting Fury Belt on the actual active Volcanion. His other options are retreating into Drampa and actually using Big Wheel GX. But then, of course, he doesn't have an option to retreat a Drampa, but he does decide to go for that play anyway. I guess I'm quite surprised. I think that was a Golisopod in his hand. I'm surprised he didn't evolve the Wimpod. But I guess, of course, it's just sort of an easy GX 2 prizes, should I decide to go for it. So I tell Simon I actually do have an N in hand, so it's just likely I'm going to stop him from seeing those 10 cards that he's just trying to draw into, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's not too much of a sort of detriment to Simon, because his hand wasn't too great anyway, and he's just going to get another refresh of hand of 6 cards plus his top deck, which is 7 in total, so it's not too much of a problem. So I do draw into 2 Fire Energy, which is perfect for me because I do believe there is already 1 more energy left in the discard. And yep, so there's 2. I do have the Max Elixir. Play Alex, play it. There you go. What are you thinking for? There you go. So I do play the Max Elixir, hit it onto the Tapu Lele. Arguably I could have put it on the Oranguru there, because if I'm able to just draw into 1 more Fire Energy, it means I can free retreat any of my Pokemon. Say free retreat, I'm able to retreat my Pokemon. At this rate, if he does use Guzma for Oranguru, I would need a Guzma or a switch myself. So I do put 60 damage on the Drampa. Again, it's in range of a Volcanic Heat. Potentially in range of a... No, it wouldn't be in range of a Tapu Lele, I do apologize. So there's the Golisopod. So he does have Guzma in hand, so he does Guzma my Oranguru. Sort of really trying to stop me from having that option of, if I start taking prizes nice and early, being able to sort of be helped out by Instruct of Oranguru, allow me to draw up to 3 cards when he does end me, for example. I do have the Super Rod, so I do play Oranguru to go back into my deck, and I will Ultra Ball for the Oranguru back, purely because I had no other supporter. I could have Ultra Balled for the Tapu Lele, and potentially played another supporter. But what this actually helps me do is saves the supporter for the turn, and also helps me just have that Oranguru back in my deck again. So I do Instruct into the Sycamore, Fire Energy and a Volcanion. So again here my board is really set up, and it's just a little bit that little bit quicker than Simon's. I say a little bit, it's actually quite a bit quicker. But of course he's just having to play a bit more conservatively as well, purely because of the weakness that he has in his deck that he's playing. So he benches that Rockruff again, and he does end me down to 4 cards, so I'm not yet able to Instruct. So Volcanic Heat, I'm not able to attack with Volcanion EX, that active Volcanion EX again. So I will likely have to find a way to retreat it, maybe bring up another attacker, or just simply retreat into the Volcanion, because I will be discarding 3 energies from it and just Power Heater whichever Pokemon Simon puts active again. So he has drawn into the Rainbow Energy. I think that's the only card I could see right now. Does a free retreat into the Drampa and uses Berserk for 150. So he has missed a choice band, unfortunately. So what's my decision there? I could attach to the bench Volcanion, and if I look for a max elixir. So it looks like I'm gonna try and play it safe to begin with. So I do Sycamore, Field Blower. Oh, I do have a max elixir in hand, so this is one option I can go for. I could continue setting up the damage, but I do hit the max elixir onto that Volcanion. So it does look like I'm just being able to once again have back-to-back knockouts on GX Pokemon. So I do use retreat there for free energy cards. Bring up the Volcanion with extra with the actual energy, able to attack. I do steam up again. I think it's just the idea that I'd like to not necessarily draw back into them if I don't need them. Because all I need to is just sort of retreat into the Turtonator and take the KO on another GX prize. That being said, this is the first time playing Volcanion, so this is me thinking it may have been a better idea to hold on to a couple of energies, because a steam up would allow me to sort of knock out any Pokemon that I would require to, because Bright Flame only does 160. Food for thought. So Simon does bring up the active Tapu Koko with 50 damage on it. He attaches the Rainbow to the Rockruff, discarding an Iceroller and I think that's an N with Ultra Ball, and just point out to him that he's accidentally left one of the cards, and that was actually the card he was after, which is the Lycanroc. Okay, so he looks like it will evolve into the Lycanroc GX. And he does use Bloodthirsty Eyes on the Oranguru, bringing it active again, and then plays the N. So this is where the Oranguru, hopefully if it doesn't get knocked out, which I don't think it can because he has attached that Rainbow NG on his bench this turn, the Instructor is really going to sort of pay off, as it were, as long as I don't already top deck the two cards I require and draw into one of them. I'm not really too sure. It's a Fire NG and a Guzma. So unfortunately I did actually sort of draw into the nuts, as it were. I can just Guzma the Lycanroc or any one of his GX Pokemon, bring up Turtonator GX and actually use Bright Flame for the knockout, as long as I steam up once and remember to steam up. So Simon's just playing through his mind what he's going to have a look at what to do. He does have that special charge again, that's why he went through his discard. He does just pass. And I think I do just show the win here, which is the Guzma and a steam up. Taking the last KO on a GX Pokemon and winning the series 2-0. So yeah, unfortunately for Simon, he did have a pretty bad matchup going into round 1. There was a lot of fire in this tournament, so it might not have been the greatest call, but I'm not too sure how he ended up finishing after the Swiss rounds. But yeah, I don't actually like sort of commentating over myself, purely because I've gone through the game and there's a few things that I judge myself on, of course. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please give me any feedback. This is another League Cup. Hopefully I'll have all of this up very quickly. Hopefully I have one up every day or every 2 days. I will be going away, so there'll be a small absence very soon. But generally the next sort of big tournament we're going to be looking forward to is the European Internationals, which is taking place in London. So, yep, thank you very much once again. Peace.